Oh shit, Milan, what you cooking
All
up?
right, what's good, YouTube? You see, we're here with the album review, and so we're gonna do an album review on Ken Carson's "More Chaos," right? So this is so prior to this, I wasn't like a huge Ken Carson fan. I hadn't really been, listening to his music a whole lot. Like, there's probably maybe a handful of songs in my playlist at all in my iTunes. But this is actually kind of like my first introduction to Ken Carson, to be honest with you guys. So this was like the first time, kind of really me giving him a hard look, a hard listen, and giving him a fair shake. So this is my first go around with his album. So with all that being said, I got 5 likes and I got 5 dislikes, right? So we're gonna go ahead and start with the likes as always. So starting off with number one, the number one like that I did like are the beats. The beats are super unique, definitely crazy. Whoever produced these beats, they went crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you. They are some different sounding beats. They sound pretty interesting, and they definitely fit his type of style of like rage. Like, it kind of definitely reminds me of Rockstar Rage, like out there going crazy mosh pit type of vibes, but just like the rock star rapper style. Definitely gives me that type of vibe. So he definitely checked that off his checkbox. So he hit that mark. Let's go ahead with number two. So the number two thing that I did like about this album was the unique overall uniqueness. Like, the album is very unique. Yeah, as you can see, if you take a look here, the album cover is pretty unique. It's got a lot going on, but even though it doesn't have a lot going on, it does have a lot going on. And he's got a blood splatter all over his shirt. It's a moving one, but it's also like you know it's him, but you can't see his face and everything. Definitely unique, just a whole unique style. Even with that video with the girl at the birthday table, like eating that cake and whatnot. Unique, different, but unique, nonetheless. The style and the flow is definitely pretty different. His cadence is definitely kind of different. There's some stuff that I kind of like notice, but everybody's got an influence and whatnot. I like that his bars aren't too crazy, but there's like simple but kind of unique sounding bars. I like that when an artist has a unique way of making something simple be a little bit more complex than what it actually initially sounds like on the first listen. So there's a couple of bars in there that I thought was cool. He said something about north and south. I got my north and south, and I'm talking about my pole or
Oh
something
shit,
like that. I
Milan.
thought that was a pretty slick bar, but it's very simple, but it was a slick bar. I thought that was kind of cool. So going over to number three is it makes you definitely want to move. Like I mentioned beforehand, that about the rock star vibe, the lifestyle feeling and whatnot. It definitely makes you want to get up and move and kind of rage out, kind of throw yourself around and do some stuff like that. It's definitely like a crazy type of feeling for sure. If that's your type of style of music, if that's the what you're into for sure. I'm over chill, laid back, so relaxed kind of guy. So it's a little bit extreme for me, but it's cool. I feel the vibe, I feel the energy. Even when I'm listening to it, I'm kind of head bobbing a little harder and whatnot. I definitely feel the vibe. So he definitely checked that off. He hit that mark for sure. So then now number four, the fourth thing that I like the actual promo setup of how they did everything, like how they kind of like rolled them out kind of exactly right after Cardi. I think that was a good way of doing that, because you got all the hype and the momentum and all the eyes on Cardi. Then you roll out basically like his the little homie, this his the person that he gave a cosign to, like the somebody that he's basically putting out himself out there on Front Street for. And the fact that he dropped this album after the fact, it kind of shows that Cardi's at this level, and where is he at. A lot of people are going to be looking at him and have eyes on him. So the fact that he has a not a label mate, but a signee under him, dropping at the same time is going to help elevate them at the same time. So I like that was smart. It's basically a strategic strategy. That was really smart for them to kind of roll out some kind of not simultaneously, but around the same time, especially to help one artist grow with the with having a larger artist, that the larger artist signing the smaller artist. So that was a good idea. I like the promo, and I like how that was all set up. Um, the fifth and final thing is, I think he hit the nail on the head with this one, and I think this is a very slept on key thing that a lot of artists need to kind of take note of and do, and it's very simple. His songs were simple, his songs were catchy, and they were short. Like I said, I always say people have short attention spans. Like, people are not going to stick out for the video for the long haul for or a song or or a movie or anything, whatever you're doing. Like, you got to catch them quick and fast and in a hurry. You got to make it happen fast. So the fact that all his songs were like, about 2 minutes and some change, under 3 minutes, really short. They were fast and very catchy, but they were simple because they're very simple hooks. Like it's very 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3, the type of rapping. Like it's easy for somebody to grasp, pick up, and just kind of rage out. It's catchy. They can, kind of go with the song, go with the flow. So I like that. I like the fact that he made it simple, and I think that makes it a lot easier for artists to actually blow up, make a catchy song, and make a hit. Because it, like, take for example the song that I produced with Young Band's Dresser. That made hit 10 million plays, but it's very short. It's very simple. It's a catchy song. You know the words. It's not nothing crazy. You're not trying to make it too elaborate. Just like I've said with beats, keeping the beat simple, keeping the music simple, but making it catchy and making it palatable to the average person is what you want, because you want the average person to listen to it and be like, I kind of like that. Even if it's somebody that doesn't like that style of music, you want somebody to be like, okay, I kind of can like that. I can see somebody listening to this rage style, underground rap, trap, whatever you want to call it, and SoundCloud rap or whatever you want to call it. Like somebody that is like a grunge punk, real, underground rock star could listen to this and probably be like, I kind of like this. This is kind of cool. So that's kind of the key. So that's being simple, catchy, and short, I think is something that he hit the nail on the head with, and that was really good. So, all right, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like. Uh, you know, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what video and what song and whatever you want me to review next. And we'll go from there. Also, too, leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what's your favorite song. Let me know what you like about the album so far, or what you dislike. And now we're moving on to the dislike. So let's go ahead and move on into the dislike. So I got 5 dislikes, right? So first, starting off with the first dislike was if you hear, I've said this before, if you hear one song, you've heard them all. Like, the songs were good. I liked the album. Overall it was a good album, but they were all very similar. They were different in the fact that they had different beats, they had a kind of a different sound, a little bit of a different cadence, different bars, obviously. But if you heard one song, you kind of heard them all because they all sound so similar. They're all the same style. They're all just like even the simple fact with I know I mentioned I like the beats, but I noticed the one thing with all the beats are just heavy, crazy 808s with the hi-hat pattern not changing, and it's just a complete repetitive hi-hat pattern. It's not even a two-step. So I noticed that stuff like that. So that's the one thing that I dislike about it. Even so that's kind of one thing. It's just like, if you hear, like I say, if you hear one song, you've heard them all. They all just kind of sound very similar, and they kind of all blend together. Like, if I were to play you one song, let the album go through, I might could play you another song, and you might mistakenly think, did I hear that one already? And it'd be a whole totally new different song. You know what I mean? So the next thing we got for number 2 is I notice a lot of artists do this, but maybe it's something on purpose, maybe it's not. But I noticed that he'll be a little bit offbeat. He'll be flowing with the beat, and then he'll like switch his flow and be offbeat, and then he kind of like continues to rap with that offbeat, different flow. I noticed that in a couple of songs. I can't think off the top of my head which one it is. Next time I'll probably start jotting these down and kind of point them out. But I noticed that in that song that he rapped, he was on beat, he switched up his flow because you could tell he's probably freestyling, and then he went a little bit off beat and kind of continued with that flow. Maybe that's his style. Like I say, I'm not super familiar with all his music because this is kind of more my first go around with him, but that's something that I noticed in there that I kind of did not like. I think that could be addressed by simply organizing his songs a little bit better, or maybe even taking a little bit more time to write them, or putting a little bit more thought into them. But I know how these artists are when they're recording and when they're in there making music. It's not that type of style. It's not that type of vibe. So it's different. So, but that's one thing I noticed. All right. So then we've got our what is that? I lost count. Somebody drop in the comment where we're at. I think I lost count. I think we're on number 3? Yeah, we should be on number 3. All right. So number 3, the number 3 thing that I disliked about this thing was there's no features. I was actually hoping and thinking that there might be a feature, whether it be a Cardi feature, a Destroy Lonely feature, and then a couple other people, man, just a handful of people, because this is kind of like supposed to be like his pop out mainstream album, maybe. That's kind of what it seems like. Maybe kind of like, hey, we're kind of putting him up to the forefront of like my label to kind of help push the label and whatnot. But I was hoping that there would probably be like at least like a at least a couple features, at least one Cardi feature. I would have thought at bare minimum a Destroy Lonely feature since they're on the same label. But it could be the fact that this is his like let me put you out there and get people to more so know you album, and that's why he is on there by himself. Who knows? But I was hoping to maybe hear another feature. But with the type and style of beats that he picked out on all of these, I can understand why it may be a little bit harder to find artists that could also fit that style when that's kind of his style, you know. So that's just one thing. And then that kind of brings me to the next point, number 4. So number 4 thing that I kind of dislike was the fact that it still feels underground, even though you've got a mainstream artist like Cardi kind of backing it. You know what I mean? It's like you've got it's kind of like with Drake, the Drake effect. Drake, you know, lent out a hand to Yeet, and now Yeet's considered, I guess, like a mainstream artist. Yeet is more known than he was as an underground artist now, just because of the whole Drake thing. People know him because of that. The same thing happened with Cardi, with other artists, if you want to use him as an example. So I was thinking that maybe that there would be it like you would hear these songs and be like, oh, that's like when you hear about the album, you would hear one to two of these songs, be like, oh, that could sound like a on the radio type of song. But none of these are like radio type songs. This still feels very underground and very niche when you're backed by a major label or a major artist that is signed by a major label that's also got you signed under him. It just still feels very underground and not quite mainstream like you would think that the artist that signs you would push it, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Drop a comment in the comment section if that makes sense. If I'm off, then just let me know if I'm off. But if that makes sense, hopefully you get what I'm saying. And the 5th and final thing that kind of I actually really dislike, and it's actually part of the reason why I didn't quite listen to Ken Carson when he first came out, and a couple other artists that I like this, is simply because of the whole devil, drugs, and nail polish agenda, man. I'm not a fan of it. I just can't rock with it. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's a little bit off-putting, to be honest with you. If that's your thing, that's your thing. I get it. I mean, you know, different strokes for different folks. You like what you like. It's just a little bit off-putting. I'm not no super crazy Christian Bible thumping person or anything like that by any means. I'm more spiritual than I am religious by far. It's just a little bit off-putting, even if they don't mean it that way. I've heard other people explain it like, oh, this whole upside down 666 pentagram, this, that, and the third. And I know a lot of information about this stuff too, so I do understand what they're explaining. But if you're going to portray it like, oh, it's not the dark evil thing, or making it weird and crazy like what people think, it's not that, but you still portray it like that, what's the point? You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't quite make sense. Like, I'm wearing the upside down cross because it means one thing and people think it means this, but yet you're still walking around trying to be spooky with it. So it doesn't quite make sense to me, in my opinion. And I don't quite like that vibe and that energy, because I do think that does, me personally, like I say, I'm a spiritual person. I do think that brings on a darker, you know, energy around you, and that may be why some of these artists, you know, have the things happen to them or are in certain situations, because what you put out is what you're going to get back, to be honest with you. So if you put out that type of energy, you're going to get it back. So me personally, that is the biggest negative thing that I dislike. And he even mentioned some things like dark stuff in the lyrics in the songs, a couple of them and whatnot, and it just kind of threw me off a little bit. And I was just kind of like, this, I mean, you can keep the rage stuff and the, you know, dark rock star stuff, vamp life, but you can keep that type of energy. I don't have to have that in there. But aside from that, that's my main dislike. But aside from that, let's go ahead, and if you're still with me, drop a like in the I keep saying it. I gotta get used to it. Drop a like. All right, there we go again. Drop a comment and do a like. Give me a like on the video, and let's continue to go on from here. So basically, I'm gonna go over from here pretty much the songs that I've picked out from my actual list here. So let's see what we got of all the songs from More Chaos. So before I go over the songs, I would definitely say I would give this song out of a 10. I'll give this a strong 7 if I were to give it like a rating. I give it a strong 7. The reason being is, even though I had some kind of strong dislikes about it, the things that I did actually like about it, we're kind of we're very it's mainly the uniqueness. It's really the fact that it's unique. I do like the bars, I do like his cadence, his style, and his flow, and how he raps. And I like the uniqueness of how he raps and what he talks about. And he is a unique artist for sure. About like, beyond, I cannot lie about that for sure. It's definitely a unique artist, and that's what gives me the appeal of giving it a 7, because it all goes together. His image and his package, it all goes together and it works together. And I think that all plays a role into the overall rating of it. Plus the music itself. The music itself is still is still pretty good. I give the music itself a 7, but the overall package with everything gives it a strong and solid 7. Just like I mentioned in the another video about young bands, for example. That was a good overall solid package. I think that was a good, well put together project. Just like this is a well put together project. There's some things that needs to be tweaked, and some things to be worked on, but these are fresh young artists, and he's a fresh young artist, so of course it's just going to take time. We're all learning, we're all growing. I'm learning and growing and everything. So let's go over the songs that we like, right? So the song that I like is Lord of Chaos, Root of All Evil, K-Hole, Black Rock Star, Diamonds, 200 Cash, and Kryptonite. So that brings us up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 songs out of quite a few, 22, right? So let's go ahead and do some math. So we're looking at we'll say a 0.32, right? So that seems pretty low, relatively low for what I would normally pick for an artist, right? Or what I would normally grade an artist in comparison to what I gave them before we looked at the songs, right? So I don't want to take the songs into account, the songs that I like into account versus the songs that I dislike. Reason being is because, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is a new artist to me. I've heard of him, of course. I've heard other songs by him, but I never really gave him a fair shake or really listened to him, just because I just didn't. This is kind of like my first introduction to him, as far as actually giving him a fair shake and listening to him. And so I don't want to use this as an example, but my overall thought of hearing this, I'll give it a good solid 7. There's things that I like, there's things that I dislike, like I mentioned, but as far as his cadence, his flow, him being an artist, his style, and how he's put this whole project together, I definitely give it a pretty solid 7 for sure. It's definitely a good album, and I hope to see more from him in the future. So just giving it an overall, pretty much to wrap it all up, is pretty much, this is a good album. I definitely enjoyed it. If he drops something again, I'm definitely checking it out. He's made it to the playlist, so we'll definitely be keeping tabs on him, and he'll pop back on the channel whenever more content pops up. And I'll definitely be on the lookout for his future content, like I say. And then, like I say, the thing that I dislike, the main overall dislike, was the devil of the drugs and the nail thing and the nail polish stuff. I think that's going to maybe hurt his longevity in the long run. Because let's just take it for example, like, do you think in 10 or 15 years you're going to be listening to a song like this in 10 or 15 years through your playlist? Possibly, maybe, but I don't think it's going to hold its longevity. So it's cool for now and it's nice overall. But I think there's other artists that have songs that may be a little bit more timeless, that are in this type of genre, in this style, in this era, that will last a little bit longer and withstand the test of time. But overall, like I say, overall it's a pretty solid album. I like the artist. I'll definitely be checking out more. And that's really all I got for you guys as far as this album review goes. So like I say, it's an album review. Ken Carson, More Chaos, pretty solid album. 7 out of 10 is what I give it. The score says about a 30%, but like I say, I'm fresh and I'm new to this artist. Don't have a whole lot of experience with them, so we're not going to hold that against them. But I'd say 7 out of 10 without using those numbers. But drop a comment down there in the comment section, leave a like on the video, and just interact with the video. Even if you dislike it, just interact with the video, because the algorithm works in my favor, and we want the algorithm gods to bless me and send a beaming light of likes and video comments and all sorts of stuff, so I can do this a lot more often and more frequently for you guys. Because like I say, I always want to teach you guys what I can teach you. Follow me on all my social media, Milan Makes Beats. If I got it, you'll find me. If I don't, you won't. And that's really about it, man. That's all I got for you guys today. We'll come back next week and with a new tutorial or a new video or whatever we got. Drop some comments on what you guys want to see from here, and we'll just keep this thing going. But that's it. We'll see you next week. Peace.